Alright, let me ask you, how good just forming a simple sentence can really make one feel? I don't know how much exactly, but I sure know that saying Alexander Volkanovski is the featherweight champion once again, it really does make me the happiest man alive, you know? Hello MMA fans, winners, good people of the internet, it's good to have you here. I am MMA Buff, and today I'll be talking all about everything that went down in UFC 314. This will include the build-ups to these fights, the general expectations of the fanbase, as well as what really happened. And of course, I will also be bragging a bit, since I got 7 predictions right back to back. I won't glaze myself too much though, because almost no one watched them, but anyway. First off, let's start with the main event. Leading to this fight, I was really wishing to see Volk using his movement and range management, just popping that jab non-stop on Diego like he did in the legendary performance he had against Max Holloway in their third fight. You know what I'm talking about, the one he pulled off that "I'm too fast for you" stunt. I love it. I really thought that was his way to victory against a power puncher like Diego Lopez. Turns out I was right, but everyone knew that honestly. I reckon the real question was, could Volkanovski give us that vintage Volk performance without getting cut like he did in his last 2 fights? He managed to do just that, and I would say the overall stakes leading into this fight makes the result an even better accomplishment by Volk. Admittedly, it's easy to look back at this fight in hindsight, but let me tell you, while Diego had some rough moments in his previous showings, he, most of the time, looked like the one who ends up winning when it comes to straight up exchanging in the pocket. Still, when people were saying he's going to easily sleep Volk, I was really skeptical, cause Diego, other than Movsar, hasn't really faced a top guy in the division all the way up to his fight with Ortega. I don't want to get too caught up by talking about that fight, yet guys, come on. I love TCT as much as anyone, yet I have to admit Ortega looked like a shell of himself that night. Volk's willingness to push forward against Diego in the very first round made my heart skip a beat here and there. Even so, I would say that was the right call. Eventually, Volk had to circle away a bit more in the later rounds. However, his willingness to outstrike Diego early and actually rocking him a couple times was a huge difference maker. I honestly expected a bit more wrestling by Volk. I guess Diego's BJJ is too dangerous, I don't know. We still saw one takedown by Volk, so that was nice. The jab by Volk was money all night long, and for Diego Lopez, other than the big punches he landed a couple times, which put Volkanovski in great danger by the way, his overall accuracy with his strikes were abysmal. We are talking 49 significant strikes landed to the head over the course of a 25-minute bout. It is unfortunately not championship level if you ask me. I'm sad to say that, because Diego definitely showed his heart. His technique though was not quite there. He has the power, he has a granite of a chin, all true. However, at the end of the day, Volk was simply better. I can't understand how some people think this was a close fight because Volk, quote-unquote, just ran away. That's not how it works, alright? You don't have to trade with a power puncher in the pocket and land blow for blow. Of course, someone like Volk is going to use his jab, his pace, and his experience as a weapon against someone like Lopez. I want to make it clear, I don't want to disrespect Lopez. He can knock people out, choke people out, and anything in between. Turns out his cardio is pretty solid too, cause he kept going and was trying up until the last minute. His lack of shots landed wasn't because he wasn't throwing, he just couldn't find the target enough times. So yeah, I'm really happy about the result of the main event. I cannot wait to see Volk do a couple title defenses, maybe even just one, and finally retire. I truly cannot take it if we see him get knocked out again in brutal fashion. I just can't, man. I'll have another video up soon talking about what should be next for all the winners and losers of UFC 314, so be on the lookout by subscribing. For this video though, let's move on to the co-main event. Alright, I have to admit, even though I thought Paddy would win this, I didn't think it would look anything like the way it looks, okay? That was a spectacular performance by him and a complete disaster by Michael Chandler. We have never ever seen Mike get completely mauled like that, you know? Yes, he has been finished by Dustin, by Oliveira, that's cool and all, but seeing him have almost a confusion in his face while Paddy was slicing him up with ground and pound strikes was beyond crazy. Although I picked Paddy to win, I wouldn't have been surprised by a Mike TKO, I wouldn't be surprised by a Paddy submission, or a TKO by Paddy when Mike potentially punched himself out. Never in a million years though would I expect to see a ground and pound finish by Paddy. Since we all witnessed just that together, I think I'm considering this performance as Paddy's way of proving he's the real deal. There was this one video I saw of Izzy talking to Paddy after the fight, and he said something along the lines of, "I'm going to stop counting you out." I guess that's exactly what we all should be doing at this point. At the end of the day, it's a great, huge win for Paddy, what can I say? There is nothing to even talk about because it wasn't a competitive fight at all. One thing I can say is the sequence leading to the finish, starting with the knee, was incredible. And yeah, I think Mike might be done, maybe his age is finally catching up to him, I don't know. Alright, what do we have next? We have Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez. Man, like these guys coming into UFC when they are nearing 40 is getting old real quick, okay? With the big exception of MVP, Michael Venom Page, who is just on another level, everyone who makes it to the UFC relatively late has some sort of lackluster showing. Some people were talking about this fight like it was going to be close, yet I knew it just can't be. Pitbull's way to victory was getting it done early, just like Lopez, and with Yair's superior technique, speed, and reach advantage, it was practically impossible to do so. Yair has the knockout power as well, so it's not like you can just rush him as a shorter fighter. The knockdown in the third round showed us what happened when Pitbull decided to let his hands go a little bit more. I knew I told you I would talk about what should be next for everyone after UFC 314 in a separate video. Still, I think this is no spoiler. The best choice for Yair moving forward is to go fight Lopez. And whoever ends up winning that fight fights for the belt, simple as that really. It's kind of crazy to look back and see just how one-sided almost every single fight was on this card, with the exception of the main event, of course. One of those was Dominic Reyes versus Krillo. Let me tell you, my man Dominic Reyes is finally back. He's not only back, but he is better, just like he said. As for the fight itself, I think Krillo was way too reckless. He got clipped with a hook early in the fight. At that point, he really should have realized the power Reyes was bringing to the table, and how exposed he was leaving himself as he was trying to blitz in. Instead, Krillo, for some reason, kept rushing in like a bum. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. One interesting thing about this very short fight was how the knockout by Reyes almost perfectly mimics McGregor's knockout versus Aldo, so it was really beautiful to see. The way the left hand lands, then the ground and pound follow-up shots, they were all so clean. Yeah, it was a very quick fight to open the card. Honestly, I cannot complain. I love seeing big finishes, no matter if they are later in the fight or in the very first round, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, moving on to the final fight of UFC 314 I will be talking about today. Once again, it is a complete one-sided destruction. I don't think there's a better word to describe it. Yeah, I'm talking about John Silva versus Bryce Mitchell. I reckon if John took Bryce even a bit serious, this fight also would have been over in like a few minutes. I'm telling you, we really watched John take his sweet time with Mitchell, there is no way around it. He knocked him down, rocked him a couple times, then decided to submit him. John Silva was pretty much proving a point to Bryce and everyone watching, which was the fact that he could get this fight done by however he likes. The size difference between the two was massive, by the way. I don't know how John is making weight. I know he struggled a bit and almost missed it, still, it's incredible. One specific note I took for this fight was how Mitchell's initiations on the takedowns were so terrible. I was quite surprised he wasn't submitted earlier, to be honest. I recognize Bryce Mitchell isn't known as the brightest, the smartest fighter in the UFC roster. Even so, I just cannot grasp how he didn't sense the danger Silva possessed when he was going for takedowns. Especially after getting almost caught with that guillotine in the first round, I think he should have known better. As if he didn't care, Mitchell continued being so reckless with his takedown attempts. As a result of that, he paid the ultimate price. After Silva's ninja choke, which was very clean by the way, Mitchell was completely out with his eyes open, and as if that was not bad enough already, John Silva kept barking on him. I don't know if I should laugh or cry, but it was certainly something. I also wanna say the striking difference was insane. Everyone expected that though. What people didn't necessarily expect was John also dominating the grappling aspect of the fight. In my personal opinion, I'm kind of glad John Silva did put out a statement win like this. It only helps his star power to grow, which is always a good thing for bigger fights in the future, you know? So yeah, that concludes the main card, I guess. Unfortunately, I'm not hardcore enough to discuss prelims with you here, at least not just yet. If you wanna see me do so, please feel free to comment. Other than that, I also would love to hear your comments regarding every single fight I talked about today. Please do not forget to subscribe and like if you wanna support me and you enjoyed a random dude, me, yapping about UFC 314. I really hope to see you here the next time. Until then, cheers!